Hello, welcome to part 2 of Puss in Boots. Now what happened in part 1 was that Puss is an old cat of an old farmer. Now, because this farmer died, or was dying, he decided to give Puss to his youngest son. Now, because this is a fairy tale, Puss is now capable of thought and speech. So he decided to help the young master, or the young farmer, or the youngest son, whatever. He decided to help him have a better life. So he ventured off into the forest to find a good meal for him. So he found like a big fat rabbit, big delicious rabbit, and because of that, he decided to change course. He actually brought the rabbit to the king, and he said that he was under the orders of the Duke of Carabas, which is the new name for the young master. Now he kept bringing like these gifts every week, and that just gave the king the idea of Duke of Carabas giving him a lot of gifts. So later he found out that the king was in a carriage and he was riding over by the young master's house. So let's see what happens next. "Master, forgive me for what I am about to do," said Puss, and he shoved his master right into the river that flowed along the road. "Help! Help!" yelled Puss as the king passed by. "My master is drowning! The Duke of Carabas has been robbed!" The king ordered and pulled the young farmer from the water. "My goodness," said the king to the young man, "I am delighted to finally meet the Duke of Carabas. Your gifts these past weeks have been very generous. I hope that now I may return the favor." The king ordered his men to fetch a set of the king's finest clothes. In no time the young farmer was dry and sitting next to the king and the king's daughter in their private carriage. Puss smiled to himself as his plan continued to work. "Now for the next step," said Puss. The king offered the Duke of Carabas a ride home. Puss ran ahead of the carriage. He spotted some farm hands working on the land along the road. Puss quickly explained to the workers that when the king passed by, they were to say that they were working on land that belonged to the Duke of Carabas. Sure enough, no sooner had the carriage arrived when the king leaned out to ask the workers, "Tell me, for whom do you labor?" "We work for the Duke of Carabas. He owns all this land," the farmer said. The king turned to his guests and said, "You are a wealthy duke indeed. I would enjoy seeing your home." Puss quickly realized that something had to be done. His master's home was certainly not fit for a duke. So once again, Puss ran ahead of the carriage. He soon came to a great castle in which dwelled a fearsome giant. This was no ordinary giant. It was a giant who possessed magical powers. Puss knew that he faced a challenge, but being the clever cat that he was, he came up with a plan in no time. Puss sneaked into the giant's castle and found the giant cooking a great feast in the kitchen. "What are you doing in my castle?" roared the giant. "It is said that you're a very powerful giant," said Puss. "That is true," said the giant. "I'm more powerful than the king, for I can change myself into fierce lion, roar, a huge mountain, a deadly viper, or even a thunderous cloud." "Ah," said Puss, "but are you so powerful that you could turn yourself into something very tiny? Say, a mouse?" "Huh!" laughed the giant. "How dare you question my power? I will show you!" With that, the giant spun around until he was just a tiny mouse. Wasting no time, Puss leaped on the mouse, and like cats do, ate the mouse right up. The giant's castle now belonged to Puss and his master. And not a moment too soon, for the king's carriage was arriving. Puss ran to meet the carriage. "Welcome to the Duke's humble castle," he said. "We have a feast awaiting us." The king and his daughter were impressed by the wealthy Duke, and the Duke was charmed by the lovely princess. This was how they fell in love and how an unlikely man married the princess. Puss in Boots lived the rest of his days in royal comfort. The end. I hope that you like the story, and I hope that you also search up some of those terms, like right here. Yeah, those are some interesting terms that are harder than all the other words, so you should probably check them out. And with that, thank you. Bye bye. Hope to see you next time. Dun 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 dun.